Rise and shine, Rwanda. It's Wednesday, the 17th of December.
Coming up on today's Rise and Shine Rwanda.
We opened a dialogue on what to expect at the 12th edition of Umushyikirano.
Rwandans' voices heard. We took to the streets to get your point of view.
And we take a look at the booming hotel industry in Rwanda.
And we formally introduce you to the Noble Knights of Comedy. Good morning, it's just after 7 o'clock in the morning and you are watching Rise and Shine Rwanda with me, Makeda Mahadio.
And me, Regis Isheja. Over the next hour, we'll bring you all the latest news, sports, and lifestyle headlines from here in Rwanda and around the world. And the Rise and Shine team are here in the studio. So guys, it's Wednesday. What's going on in the world of the money?
Well, apart from having some spicy, business stories for you, I also have, what's behind the business of hotels here in Rwanda. I got the details for you today.
All right, cannot wait to hear that. Alan, what do you have for us in lifestyle?
Well, I checked out the comedy show over the weekend, and of course, I have the latest of hot topics, so check it out.
Okay, Arnold, sports.
Retirement of the great Thierry Henry, pressure on Futira, and Lewis Hamilton wins another title.
Wow, okay. All that and more is still to come, but first, Rise and Shine story of the day.
Tomorrow marks the beginning of the 12th edition of Umushyikirano, the Rwanda's national dialogue, with the theme Common Vision, New Momentum, as government officials and representatives of the civil society will be gathered at the parliament to evaluate the progress made over the last 11 months. We decided to hit the streets and find out what Rwandans expect from this year's Umushyikirano.
Gushyikirana ni byiza. Cyambere, gushyikirana n'umuntu mubasha kwiyumvanamo. Ni kimwe n'ubwumvikane niko natekereza. Gato igihe cyose ugomba gushyikirana n'umuntu mugera ku kintu runaka. Byanze bikunze nicyo kiza cy'umushyikirano nge nawe.
Iriya nama y'umushyikirano hakunze kuvamo ibitekerezo byinshi ku Banyarwanda, araba mu gihugu, araba hanze, babonye umwanya wo kuba batanga ibitekerezo byabo, bimwe bikavugirwa ahagaragara icyarimwe ku Banyarwanda ndetse bagasubizwa kuri byinshi babitekerezo. Ni byiza cyane, ni bimwe mu biha Umunyarwanda kuba yigerera hahandi atakashoboye kugera, biraruje kugera kuri Perezida wa Repubulika, biraruje kugera ku muyobozi wese mu rwego rw'igihugu ukomeye kuriya, ariko iyo batanze buriya burenganzira cyangwa kugira amahirwe y'uko umuntu yagira icyo avuga, biba byoroshye cyane, hasubizwa byinshi ku bibazo buri muntu aba afite.
Yewe ikibazo numva namubaza bitewe n'uko narize ndangiza segonderi ndetse mfata na kaminuza, ariko sinagira amahirwe yo kubona akazi, nza mu bintu by'ubucuruzi, ariko ndabona nta kibazo. Cyo namusaba no kutugabanyiriza imisoro gusa kugira ngo bigende neza. Nabyo no umurimo yaradusabye ati mwihangire umurimo, nkamusaba kutugabanyiriza imisoro gusa nta kindi.
Gihe cyo namubaza nk'ubuyobozi bw'igihugu, icyo mbona muri iki gihe abaturage dufite ubutaka ubw'igihugu, ubwa leta, ubwa gakondo, ariko noneho ikintu batuzanyemo cyane je numva kinamvunana namubaza ibi by'ubutaka kugira ngo turihe ibibanza ubutaka babusorera. Numvaga twebwe nk'abaturage batudohora kugira ngo yiba ufite akabanza bakagasorera 20,80 ubu kihe cy'ubutaka burakomeye kabisa, ariko batworoheje ndetse nk'umuntu uvuganira igihugu yatubabara tukagira ubutaka ntitunabusorera, yaba ari kugira ngo twinjize umutungo mu gihugu, ariko byura bakagira akantu badohoraho cy'ubutaka n'ibibanza byacu twese. Yewe nicyo numvaga namubaza cy'umutungo w'ubutaka.
Uramutse ugize ikibazo kimwe wabaza nyakubahwa Perezida wa Repubulika, wamubaza ikihe kibazo?
Ndumva ntacyo kuko nta kibazo nta.
Muri make ubuzima bwawe ni bwiza cyane. nta kibazo na kimwe ugira mu buzima. He's a lucky guy. None se wazagira inama abandi bose?
I love the last guy's response.
He's very confident.
I'm
His
fine.
life is great.
Man, I want to be like him when I grow up. I gotta
Exactly.
tell you.
That's a goal in itself, yeah.
So it seems like, you know, this, from what I understand, actually I love the concept of Umushikirano, I have to tell you right now. It's kind of like a town hall meeting where everyone can get together and have their voices heard, right?
Absolutely.
So I just wanted to know, because I've never, actually this year is the first year that I've seen, I've always heard about it, but you know, so much in depth about what it's about and stuff like that, heard so much about it. Does anything happen after?
What I did actually get from the whole thing is it's the population getting to ask their leaders what they have been able to accomplish in the past 11 months. So whether it be on the local level or on a country level. So the president is there at the parliament, as ministers are, as ambassadors are, so on and so forth, government officials, and they're there to actually show what they've been able to do for the entire year. They basically hope for the better, but at the same time there's a population there that has been going through, you know, the ups and downs of life, and they have concerns, obviously, so they voice their concerns. So you have people calling the president, like regular citizens calling the president, being like, so my leader so-and-so said he will do this since March, and we're in December, he hasn't done it. What would you do if you were my leader? Right? So he puts them on the spot. So a lot of leaders go in there, you know, shaking in their boots a little bit. They're sweating a little bit.
Right. I actually really like that. But, you know, they say what they've managed to do for the past 12 years. And this is the 12 months or 11 months. And this is the 12th edition. I'm just wondering if, you know, as a result of some of the comments that have been made or the questions that have been asked, if, you know, anything has been done from that, you know? For instance, if they heard a very concerning topic from a few citizens, you know, are they going to make a change from that?
Right. When I was doing my, when I was asking people in the street, basically, they were telling me that it's great that they're hearing about this Umushikirano, that they can actually ask questions, but they're like, in former Umushikiranos, what did happen after? Was there like a follow through where whoever wasn't doing their job the right way got punished?
Right,
or
things were addressed.
Exactly. So we're going to be talking about that in the next video.
Perfect.
So on the national dialogue still, earlier we spoke to Ambassador James Kimonyo, Director of Cabinet in the Prime Minister's office, who talked to us about what to expect from this year's gathering. Take a look. Ambassador, it's an honor and a pleasure to get to ask you questions, basically have a conversation about the national dialogue that's coming up, Umushikirano. This year, what's so special about it? Because it's number 12. We've had a lot of conversations where people say, well, there's been a Umushikirano, but what gets implemented after that? Because it's a dialogue between the population and their leaders. What can you say has been the follow-up after Umushikirano?
I think I should say, maybe to answer your first question, what is special this year? Remember, we just celebrated 20 years of liberation. So the 12th National Dialogue Council coincides exactly with 20 years after this country was liberated. And so we are talking about the achievements of 20 years. And looking back, 12 years since we started conducting this event, having the National Dialogue Council, we have done a lot, and the tremendous achievements have been registered. And so we are saying, let's look at what we have achieved in the last 20 years and build on that to be able to determine what we want to do next. And there has been follow-up from the standpoint of the Prime Minister's office. We do the follow-up every time the National Dialogue Council is closed and we have the recommendations from the meeting. We make sure that the institutions that are concerned, they do implement what has been decided. And we have seen a lot of changes in terms of how, you know, things are implemented because of the importance of this forum.
Now, I was lucky enough earlier to hit the streets and ask the people why they will expect to see in Umushikirano in itself. Now, every year you have callers that call in to speak to the president that actually talk about what they've been going through, whether positive or negative. Let's say someone who lives in Gikomero, in Satinski. When I was talking to these people on the streets, they were telling me, twumva ibyemezo bifatwa, twumva bamwe mu badutegeka badakurikiza ibyo bakagombye gukora, badategeka nkuko bakagombye gutegeka, bafatirwa imyanzuro. Ariko se iyo myanzuro ni iyihe ko tutayumva? Now, as someone who's actually a leader, you've represented our country overseas, and you're still a leader here in the country. Mu Kinyarwanda navuga nti mubahumurize. Talk to them, tell them what decisions are made after, and if really there is a follow through after umushyikirano.
If you are leading a team of 1,000+ people, you won't be surprised that some of them are not delivering to expectation. If I didn't read any literature of being a leader or how you become an effective leader, I would simply watch the TV or listen to what President Kagame says. So our President, His Excellency President Kagame, has provided a very clear and effective leadership in terms of how we deal with people's issues and how we interact with them. Just to give you an example, the last National Dialogue Council, there was one resolution that actually was based on what the President said. People are talking about Business Development Fund, BDF, as a guarantee fund that will help youth and women and other people to access credit. And whoever presented and the complaints that came after did not respond to the actual problem. But the President asked one question. Have people been adequately informed about what BDF is and how it operates and what it is that they're required to do to be able to access the funds? And everybody else kept quiet. And guess what? After the National Dialogue Council, the 11th Dialogue Council, we then came up with programs to disseminate the information and make sure that people are in the know and are kept abreast by what BDF is doing. So I'm giving you that example to show you how leaders should, at least if you don't even have that knowledge or those skills, learn from what the leader is doing. And you don't have to wait for the President to be in the Parliament to tell you why you should go out there and explain what BDF does to make these poor people to access credit. And recently I was part of the team that accompanied the President when he visited Eastern Province. He said it actually, that he said, I remember, I don't know its exact quote, but he said, these leaders should know that they are who they are because of you. You see the point? That's what the President said, you can check. He said, these leaders should know that they are who they are because of you. And if you have that in mind, then you have to automatically know that you are accountable to these people. And just to share with you a very small experience, I was in the US. This guy who applied for a passport at the embassy, and for some reason someone careless lost his documents, and he kept on coming to the embassy asking for his passport, and nobody was responding, took time, and this guy sent a tweet to the President. He got the response. And I was in Indiana, I got about 100 messages from friends who were saying, James, do you see this? I said, no, I'm speaking at an event here. I said, no, there is someone who complained to the President has already instructed. You see, the level whereby a head of state can talk to a person in the US to solve his problem, leave alone those who are next door who can even take a car and come to Kigali. That shows the level of accountability that we should be exercising as leaders of this country. So nobody would really say, I can walk away with it if people say it loudly, and I think people are empowered and encouraged to do so.
Ambassador Kimonyo, it's been an honor and a pleasure to have you. And please, you're welcome on Rise and Shine Rwanda anytime. Feel free to come.
Thank you. I follow the program. It's a very good program. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
You know, the last instance that he gave that you were pointing out to me, it's quite a remarkable story. But is it something that's kind of a unique occurrence, or?
Well, first of all, umushyikirano as government gahunda, right? As something that the government does to make sure that the population is in sync with actually what's happening with their leaders that they elected to begin with. I think that's a unique thing. I haven't heard it in any other country. There's a possibility. I haven't done my research, but I feel like Rwanda is really a pioneer when it comes to this. And then having a president that's that present on social media to the point where if you go somewhere and you don't get the service that you feel you deserve, that is your right to get your passport if it was, you know, miscarried or lost there or whatever, it's your right to get it, and it's their prerogative to make sure that you get it. And he made sure he got the passport. So that was a great example, Ambassador Kimonyo gave us there.
I wish that I had known about this for some some examples that have happened in my life. I wish that I could just, you know, text message or something. Someone. But anyways, I'm happy that this is going down. Excited about this year's. And you are watching Rise and Shine Rwanda. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Welcome back, and you're watching Rise and Shine Rwanda. Let's get to the money. Fidelis Karangwa has the business details.
Three business stories making headlines today. As the oil market decreases in Nigeria and other crude processing nations, investors are said to be turning to East Africa for investment. This comes after reports show that stocks have increased in East African countries since oil prices fell from $115 a barrel earlier this year. The countries are expected to benefit from the low prices by keeping inflation and interest rates in check and also boost their economies. 10 savings and credit cooperative societies have bid for the treasury bond listed on the Rwanda Stock Exchange earlier this month, up from 3 SACCOs in August. This was attributed to the government issuing quarterly bonds to fund infrastructure projects and roadshows across the country to educate Rwandans about the benefits of investing in the shares. It is hoped that more locals will invest in the bonds, which will also help the government provide a guideline for pricing of credit for banks. And the Rwanda Public Procurement Authority announced that about 30% of tenders awarded to public entities in the last year did not comply with public procurement guidelines. This comes after the Auditor General's report showed that even though there was an improvement in accountability of public finances, there were still gaps in the procurement process. Officials also say that they're also looking to strengthen systems and the capacity of procurement officers to enhance performance. Now, with Rwanda getting to become the conference hub of East Africa, the need for bigger conference rooms and more accommodation has risen even higher. It is for this reason that the government is investing in the construction of more hotels and conference halls in most parts of the countries. We take a look into this booming business. From 5-star hotels to local motels, new hotels are popping up all around the country. This has been caused mainly by the growing demand for hotels in the country. But what does this mean competition-wise to this industry?
In Rwanda, Kigali is not as big as Nairobi or Kampala, so you find that there are not as many hotels, and also the hotel rankings are different. So we try our main competitors, for example, are like Serena or the Mokaline. Competition has been difficult because these are names that are brands, and the Grand Legacy coming in as a newbie has been challenging, but we're slowly catching up, and I'm confident that we'll be able to outshine our competition.
Although more hotels are emerging, this does not necessarily translate into lower hotel rates. Christian Hushka from the Hotel de Mille Collines explains to us why this is so.
You're happy to pay more money for a product that is superior rather than paying less for something which is missing a lot of attitudes that you're looking for. The same is in hospitality business for the traveler. There is, when it comes to the food and beverage level, guests are partly more price sensitive. When it comes to the rooms division part, average rates which are charged here in Kigali especially are absolutely okay, and on an international standard, maybe even sometimes on the higher side. The same you would have with luxury lodges in the Volcano National Parks, where you have really premium tourism on premium rates. So the calculation will be how much you can yield on the rooms division part, how much you can yield on different culinary offers for the F&B part, and therefore definitely make a profit. That's part of our job, being a management company.
For all these hotels, however, their main challenge has been being given sufficient time to prepare for all these big conferences.
I think the government is already doing a really great job. For example, RDB has the MICE in place, and I think it's a great way for hotels and different institutions to work together, especially with the constant meetings like Transformation Africa or Innovation Africa coming to Kigali. They should let us know ahead of time so we can be able to coordinate with these different institutions.
From the look of things, this is definitely an industry that's picking up pace. Good news not only for the business people involved in it, but the country's tourism industry as well. Karangwa Fidelis, Rise and Shine Rwanda.
Okay, interesting report there, as always. You always have the interesting stuff. So what does it look like the next steps are going to be for the hotel industry here in Rwanda?
Well, apart from the fact that, there's a lot of land being availed to, like if you propose that you want to build a hotel, it's a lot easier for you to find land in a decent place and for relatively cheaper prices cost compared to people building other establishments. That's also one thing. And also the fact that, investors come to Rwanda every day, they see what we're missing. They've already seen the gap in the fact that we don't have enough hotels in the country. So very many investors are hoping or are going to invest in the hotel business in Rwanda. So we see more hotels. We're hoping for more hotels to come into the country.
Now, to the people you talked to when it came to this hotel video and the report, I actually remember right before the African Development Bank summit here in Kigali, a lot of hotels came out of nowhere and you just saw them like rise basically, and you hadn't noticed that they were even being built. Now, what's going on? I mean, are they giving permits easily? Like, could I just come and be like, I want to build a hotel right now, just let me do it in Kigali, even if it's near another hotel? How does it work? Have you been able to talk to them?
Well, we all have to remember what's always important is that not just that you're going to build a hotel, it has to be up to standard. I mean, this is Kigali, this is Rwanda. We have Vision 2020. We want to have beautiful buildings, good infrastructure that can last long and look good. So that's the first thing. So if they know that your establishment is going to be up to standard, then it's easier for you. If you already have the investment money, it's easier for you. I mean, it's just a matter of how persistent you were, how good your project is with what you're presenting to them, and it's very easy for anyone to build their hotel in Kigali.
Now, I've seen a lot of guest houses around Kigali, a lot actually. And it seems like a lot of people built houses, maybe houses that they thought that they would want, and then after the house was built, they were saying, maybe it's a bit too big, or they want to use it for another kind of business. And so a lot of these houses have become guest houses. Now, what is this going? And I think that a lot of people enjoy the bed and breakfast, cozy house type of situation when they come to visit Kigali. But what is this new booming hotel industry, all these people coming in, what is this going to do to the small, homey guest houses that people are really liking right now?
Well, like you said, not everyone can always afford a hotel, 5-star hotel room. So it's always good to have another option. That's why I feel like even the guest houses will not fail to find clients. And like you said, some people don't want to be in a huge hotel. They just want to be in a nice house where they'll meet, a small number of people, gather up and, have a good time. So yes, I feel like that will not affect their business in any way. If anything, I would encourage people to start their hotels as long as they look really nice. This way you can attract even more clients of different standards. Then, it's all good. It's okay.
All right then. Well, you are up to date with today's business headlines. Thanks to Fidelis Karangwa. Sports news is coming up in just a moment with Arnold Quizera.
Welcome back to Rise and Shine Rwanda. Time now for your sports news with me, Arnold Quizera. Starting with local football, Rayon Sports and APR dropped points in the National Football League, with both teams going 2 matches without a win. Coach Andy Mfuntira has admitted that he is yet to settle for his best 11 players at Rayon Sports following a 4-game winless streak since he took over last month. The Blues were stunned on Sunday when an injury-time header from Mohamed Kabura handed AS Kigali a 2-1 victory at the Kigali Regional Stadium to send Eric Shimiyimana's side into second place with 21 points on the National Football League standings. The Congolese tactician is yet to test victory after a 2-2 draw against SC Kiyovu in his opening game, where the Blues had to come from down twice, and a 1-1 draw against Sunrise FC in Ramagana, which was followed by a 2-1 loss to Police in the semi-final of the Ombudsman Cup. On to Formula One, Lewis Hamilton has landed the British Sports Personality of the Year award to his range of trophy collections after an impressive Formula One season with Mercedes. The driver beat golfing sensation Rory McIlroy by 10% of the vote to claim his first Sports Personality of the Year award. Ski diver Jav Yarnold finished third on the same evening, and there were more great news for another British driver, Jason Button, as McLaren confirmed him as Fernando Alonso's partner for next season's Formula One championship. Former Arsenal, Juventus and French striker Thierry Henry has called it quits on his football career after 20 years. The Frenchman announced his retirement with the same grace as he has conducted his entire career on and off the pitch. The 37-year-old, who played his last game of football for New York Red Bulls last month, had an unremarkable 2-2 draw, will join Sky Sports' stable of football experts in 2015. He leaves his playing days behind, having made an indelible mark on the game with Arsenal. He won 2 Premier League titles, 3 FA Cups between 1999 and 2007. Outside the Emirates Stadium, they have a statue of their beloved Frenchman. At Barcelona, he added the Champions League trophy in 2009, and with France, he lifted the World Cup.
All right, they call him Titi, Thierry Henry. He has done so much for Arsenal. I mean, when you look at Arsenal in their main era, in the era of dominance, late 90s, early 00s, you have someone like Tony Adams, who was the captain back then, who was unbelievable. You had other players, Nicolas Anelka, you had Patrick Vieira, but none had the impact of Thierry Henry.
Definitely no player in the Premier League has ever had the impact of Thierry Henry. Many will say Cristiano Ronaldo, but when you look at the greats the Premier League has ever had, there has been no better finisher than Thierry Henry. You know, he came in, he broke Ian Wright's record at Arsenal. He has the highest number of goals in the shortest period of games. You know, only 412 games for Arsenal, and he has over 297 goals. That's marvelous. He was very unfortunate never to be crowned a World Player of the Year, playing in the era of Zinedine Zidane and the great Ronaldinho, and maybe Ronaldo da Lima. So he is a top 5 player for that generation. That's no doubt. Is he the best player that the Premier League has ever seen? Maybe. To me personally, I would think so. Many would argue maybe Cristiano Ronaldo. But when you look at the 2 different generations in which they played, Thierry Henry led Arsenal to the Invincibles, the only unbeaten team the Premier League has ever had. He was a captain of a very young Arsenal side that he tried to propel. You know, he captained the Van Persies, the Kolo Tourés that are still playing in the league.
And there was that team with the one I was talking about, with Fredrik Ljungberg, with Kwaku Kanu, with Patrick Vieira, and Sylvain Wiltord and Robert Pires. They had a great team. This is a player that was discovered by Arsene Wenger in Monaco first. Yeah. He started with Monaco, and he was discovered there. And then Arsene Wenger moved to Arsenal. Thierry Henry went to Juventus. Then he recruited him once at Juventus. This is a player that got better year after year, and he won the World Cup at 17 years old.
Yeah, that's understandable. But at the time when Wenger was at Monaco, Thierry was still in the academy, about 14, 15 years old. Then Thierry moved. He was a winger. That shows you his class again. That he was a winger.
It was him and Trezeguet at Monaco.
Yes, at him and Trezeguet at Monaco. He was a winger. Arsenal signed a striker in Nicolas Anelka, who was the most expensive player in the world.
Who was amazing at that time.
Yes, and who had a stellar career as well. Right. And then Thierry Henry comes. He replaces Nicolas Anelka, moves to a striking position, and goes on to be a wonder. The only player to ever have 20+ goals for 5 consecutive seasons
in the
Premier League.
Forget about Dennis Bergkamp at Arsenal, which was hard to do.
As a Liverpool fan, I'll never forget what he did to Jamie Carragher at Anfield in that famous invisible run. You know, 3-2, Liverpool leading 2-1. It's very personal. Michael Owen with a double, and then Thierry Henry does what Thierry Henry does.
Let's stay in England and talk about Lewis Hamilton. Yeah. I mean, is he going to go down as one of the greatest F1 racer? Because when you think about it, Michael Schumacher, you think about Ayrton Senna, you think about Michael Prost. Yeah. I mean, these are huge ones. But is he in that category right now?
I think Lewis Hamilton needs to win another title. When we had it...
One more?
Yeah, not taking anything away from him this season. You know, you have a Mercedes team that really, whose engine was really a class above everyone else. You know, because not take anything away again from Nico Rosberg. He's not the most talented of drivers out there, but he was number 2.
The engine helped him.
Yeah, the engine was, Mercedes had a fabulous engine. I think that's why we saw Fernando Alonso move to McLaren. He was so frustrated with work being done at Ferrari. Fernando Alonso is still the best driver, talent-wise, you know, and maybe Lewis Hamilton will come in number 3 or 4 after many will say Sebastian Vettel, Danny Ricciardo, Mark Webber, who has retired. But I feel Hamilton needs one more season. It was great for him to win the British Sports Personality of the Year. That shows a lot. But there were doubts because there was Rory McIlroy, who had won 2 majors, you know, in 1 year. And everyone maybe thought the Irishman will take it. But the British showed the love they have for Lewis Hamilton, and he's the best sports personality of the year in Britain.
When you think David Beckham and you think Lennox Lewis, how on the popularity meter, where will Lewis Hamilton end up?
I think he is as popular as Lennox Lewis, not yet as popular as David Beckham, because David Beckham was an idol. He crossed over.
He's an icon.
Yes, he crossed over so many different you know, types of sports. You know, he was loved in China where football wasn't being loved. He made the MLS, you know, get the love. Lewis Hamilton still has to cross over so many fans right now.
All right, Arnold, a man who knows what he's talking about. He's covering sports, and he got it down to the T. All right, so you're watching Rise and Shine Rwanda. Makena and I will be right back.
Welcome back to Rise and Shine Rwanda. Let's take a look now at news-making headlines here in Rwanda and around the world.
The National Public Prosecution Authority has indicted 74 public officials over mismanagement of public funds. This comes after a report by the Auditor General showed that more than 800 million francs was unaccounted for. The list included officials at ministerial levels and director generals of government institutions. Officials say investigations were still underway and that anyone accused of a crime will be prosecuted irrespective of their status.
Parents and schools have been urged to collaborate to ensure quality education in the country. This comes after the Department of International Development launched a 2-year project in 10 districts across the country to strengthen the government's initiative to provide universal access to education. Officials said that the project aims at sensitizing parents and teachers on their role in the management and development of schools and to follow up on their children's education.
Military regional officers have completed a UN Staff Officers course at the Rwanda Peace Academy. The course, which took place in Musanze, brought together 25 participants from 6 regional countries and was aimed at preparing the officers for peacekeeping operations. The officers have pledged to put to good use the skills they acquired from the training.
A one-stop border connecting the Rubavu district in the Western Province to Goma town has been launched. The border post is expected to help reduce the transit time for cargo and passengers while easing trade and commerce. The construction, worth 6 billion Rwandan francs, was financed by the Howard G. Buffett Foundation and is expected to be completed in 18 months.
More than 100 people, mostly children, were killed yesterday in a Taliban assault on a school in the Pakistani city of Peshawar. The army said most of the school's 500 students were evacuated, although it is not clear how many were held hostage. A Taliban spokesman says the assault came as a result to army operation in Waziristan and the Khyber area. Officials have described the attack as a national tragedy. Time now for a review of the headlines. Matthew Rwahigi joins us now to look through some of the front pages.
Welcome to the show. Let's get into the first topic. So the verdict is out. The now infamous Ugandan maid that ended up pretty much torturing a small child has been given what I think is a very meager 4 years. What are your thoughts on this?
The maid from hell.
The maid from hell.
I love how social media creates names these days. Okay, you're saying 4 years is a very small time, and I agree with you. But I think the judge, like they explained in the news, based on the fact that the kid was not harmed physically. They are still looking at whether the kid was harmed psychologically, which they are looking forward to. But
wait. What? The kid was not harmed physically. That I don't understand.
You see, but that's not the discussion for today.
Are those medical terms? Like, I'm trying to understand what's going on here.
Medical terms.
You mean the kid didn't die?
No, she didn't get internal medical damages physically.
So the intent counts only for 4 years?
So for the judge, the 4 years, I'm talking about what was reported.
Right.
The 4 years are meant to tell the rest of the people, to show an example, to tell them that you can't go unpunished for what you did. But again, now, Makedi, I want us to look at some of these things, not just with emotions, because yes, when it comes to kids, if it was my baby girl and that happened, I would not wait for you to go to court. Maybe I would want to do something before you go to court.
Of course.
So it's tricky. It's very tricky. And I believe there's a mistake somewhere. I think she should have gone in for a little bit longer. So,
of course.
But the question is not whether she should go in for a little bit longer. The question is, how are we parenting? Who do you leave your kids with? Makedia, I don't know, none of you I think has kids, I don't know. But,
no.
Okay, well, but the question to me would be, why do you leave a fully uneducated and informed person to be the person that takes care of your kids? In fact, here we look for the worst. You say, okay, do you have a villager somewhere there to bring and take care of my kids? Right. So is that the kind of person you want to raise your kids? Which kind of upbringing is that person going to give to your kids?
At the same time, you know, you can just never know. That's why this entire situation is just so scary.
Yes, you see, that is why this kind of situation is supposed to be a lesson, not only to the maids, but also to the parents.
And it has been, trust me.
All right, let's move on to what's happening between our country and the Democratic Republic of Congo. There's a one-stop border post that's being built between our two countries.
Between Gisenyi and Goma?
Gisenyi and Goma, exactly. Share some light on that.
You said between, but I'm yet to see any news report from the Congolese side on whether they're also doing the same thing, whether they're putting the same money to use. Because the grant, as you said in the news review, in the news headlines, was given to both, not just to Rwanda. $9 million to Rwanda, $9 million to the Congolese side, but I haven't seen any report from Congo. So I don't know whether they are putting the money in purchasing some new weapons or whether they are going to do the same thing.
No.
What's the goal here? What are they trying to... There was already a border.
Yeah.
Okay.
See, the one border post, what it means is bringing the two borders. Traditionally, you have a border post
in Congo
on the Rwandan side
Rwanda, right.
and in Goma. But now you want to have one structure where all these two authorities, those who are dealing with migration from the Congolese side and those who are dealing with
are on the same,
from the Rwandan
just
side.
like it is when you go to Burundi,
exactly.
Right.
To Kanyaru and what they're trying to do in Rusumo and elsewhere. So this should be able to facilitate faster clearing of goods and people. But you see, the question to me is not whether that will work. The question is, are the two parties, yes, there is this support coming in, but are the two parties in agreement? Because we've seen this happen. The Congolese are closing their borders earlier. The Rwandans are still open, so there's no movement.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So it's a question and a prayer that works, because Congo is a very big market for Rwanda.
Still yet to be seen, hopefully though. All right, let's move on to the last topic. It feels like we just finished talking about the ISIS attack in Australia and the cafe, and now there is another terrorist attack, this time Taliban in Pakistan. Tell us, honestly, it's a holiday season that is just, it seems like it's just non-stop.
Yeah. There's a lot of unpleasant things happening in the world. You see, last time I was talking to a couple of friends and I was like, whenever you open some of these news websites, and maybe when you switch on your TV, the first information you will see is something negative, something wrong happening. So
actually most of the time.
Exactly. So most of the stories are all about what is happening wrong elsewhere. So when we get back to what is happening in Pakistan, news reports have been saying it's a retaliation of what the government is doing, trying to send these people away. There are two things that I want to look at. One, the attack shouldn't deter the government from what they are doing. Right. Because you cannot say that because the Taliban have attacked us, we will hold. Because that means they are feeling the pressure. They are not doing that because it's a joke. They are feeling the pressure and they feel like they're being sent out. So I'm saying the Pakistan government, the US allies who are trying to play around, and the NATO, they should continue doing what they are doing because it is working. It is making some people uncomfortable. But now on a sad note, there were children who were killed.
Right.
Children.
Which is always what happens. It's
Exactly.
unbelievable.
So the second part that I wanted to say, the first part, no giving up, they should continue. But the second part, you see, this is when you look at the way terror groups are formed, many of them are formed in a capitalistic manner. Let's create this to solve this particular problem. But how do you dissolve that terror group after?
Right.
So it should serve as a lesson. I think there are very, very many lessons for the human race to learn from all what is happening
and
around.
hopefully they're going
So
to be
because,
heeded.
Don't be too pragmatic. Don't be too capitalistic.
Right.
That's okay, because we want to solve this particular problem, let's create this particular group.
Right.
How will you dissolve that?
Right.
If you have a garden,
right.
and you want to send away, let's say you have worms in the garden, and you get biological pest controls, you bring in other biological creatures. How are you going to save your garden after these creatures become
From
the pest?
the pest control, right.
After the creatures become the
other
predators.
problem, right.
All
right, Matthew.
So that's the question.
Matthew, that was great. Thank you so much. You're watching Rise and Shine Rwanda. We'll be right back.
You're watching Rise and Shine Rwanda. Welcome back. We have a little bit of lifestyle for you now. Alan,
Yes.
what you got?
Well, it's all about comedy today, and yeah, we're going to check out a comedy show I attended over the weekend.
I'm so ready to laugh, man.
It is said that laughter is a medicine to the soul, and when it comes to comedy, stand-up comedy, one group has been paving the way for Rwandan comedians for years. Just recently, the Comedy Nights group acquired a sponsorship deal of 30 million francs, which would help financially support the celebrated comedy group over the next 5 months. Last week, I attended one of their rehearsals, as well as their big end-of-the-year comedy jam event that took place over the weekend. Let's take a look. Comedy Nights was formed back in 2010 by a group of Rwandan youths who decided to bring humor and comedy to the masses, as well as giving local comedians a platform to perfect their craft. I recently caught up with the young comedians as they rehearsed for their upcoming comedy jam.
We are rehearsing for the comedy jam, and it's like the last show that we'll do for the public here, like comedy guys that love us, like our public, and we're just rehearsing for it. Yeah.
After recently landing a 30 million franc sponsorship deal, the comedian says a lot of people misunderstood the sponsorship deal, thinking that the group had actually received the sum in cash. However, the comedian was quick to explain that the sponsorship was specifically to rent out venues plus equipment for their upcoming shows in Kigali.
It's not like it's money they give us like that. It's a sponsorship worth 30 million. It's to help us too in the quality of our work, because when you have to run up and down to search for sponsors and everything, you kind of like lose the focus on what you should do, like on stage. Sometimes you have to give up something to get something else. But now they give us the opportunity to only focus on our job and do it right. So it's all benefit for you guys that will come to see our shows.
During the rehearsals, I also met the youngest member of the group. At just 19 years old, the young comedian says he has learned a lot from his peers, but his biggest challenge is making sure that he remains dedicated to his craft and works just as hard, if not harder, to be respected as a comedian.
It's actually more challenging, you know, because these guys, they don't give you time to slack off because you're young and everything, so you have to always keep up.
After weeks of rehearsals, the Comedy Jam Holiday Special was finally here. The show drew a large crowd of comedy lovers. It also featured 2 regional comedians from Uganda and Burundi. I caught up with a Ugandan comedian fresh off the stage, and he explained to me that the Rwandan audience was one of his favorite audiences because of their quick response to his jokes.
You're not so good. You're an Indian guy, your head is not shaking. Indian house, huh?
It's always awesome, man. This is like the third time for me to perform here, but it's always cool, man. I love to perform. People are nice. People are very responsive. Kigali has the best audiences. In, you know, for us comedians, we like to talk to people who listen. Now, people in Kigali, it's one of those audiences that I've been to. I think that they listen to a joke and they are following it up till you hit the punchline. So I'm always, every time I hear that I have a show here, I'm very proud. I'm like, oh, cool.
Legendary Rwandan comedian Atom was among those in the audience, and he says that Rwandans need to support comedians by coming to support such events.
Such a particular country like Rwanda with our own renowned story and history. I think to come here and to support this kind of events is something which has to be seen as something very vital, very necessary in schools, in public, on TV, in radio, in more and more innovative manner. And I'm glad to see such an event.
With their new sponsorship deal, the comedy group is planning to have at least one big show every 3 months and also bring renowned comedians from different parts of Africa such as Nigeria and South Africa. 2015 looks to be a very promising, rib-cracking stand-up comedy revolution for the comedy nights. One joke at a time. Alan Karekire, Rise and Shine Rwanda. So joining us now in the studio is John Babu Muyenzi.
Yeah, Babu is fine.
As well as Celeste, they also call you Selo Gahaya.
Selo Gahaya Celeste.
He's my younger brother.
Oh, is he?
Yeah, he's my big brother. We
are brothers.
I can see. Welcome to the show, guys.
Thank you for having
So
us.
tell me, Babu, what did you think of the show over the weekend?
Yeah, personally, I think the show was a great success. The content, which was inside, everything, we just took the normal comedy night show to another level.
Right.
Yeah.
And now, was this one of your biggest performances, or you've done bigger?
Nah, I think I've done bigger.
You've done bigger, right?
Yeah, I've done bigger.
Okay, and Celestin or Celo, can you tell us what are you guys, for the next year, what are you guys planning? Do you have big events coming up?
Yeah, the next year, actually, right now we are planning for the calendar.
For the whole year?
Yeah, for the whole year, so that we get to know which big artists are we going to bring in this time, who are we going to work with in this particular month, so that we get to know how to really how to plan it before time and make it even much bigger with bigger audiences.
Yeah. Speaking of, because I mentioned in the video that I read that basically you're going to have artists from either Nigeria and South Africa. Yeah. When you have these artists from other countries who probably have a lot of experience, is it a way of you guys to also, I guess, share experiences and also learn from each other?
Yeah, that too. We tend to, learn from them. But mainly what we want to show the Rwandese audience is that there is not much difference between Rwandan comedy and African in general, Kenya, Uganda, Nigeria. Some guys are like, they're Rwandese, they're like this. So we tend to challenge ourselves and bring someone from the outside. And when they come here in the same show, we crack the same, not the same jokes, different jokes, and guys can actually see that there's not much difference between Rwandese comedians and normal African comedians. Yeah.
And now I also read as part of the 30 million, which you guys are basically getting to help do shows here in Kigali. You're going to have shows every 3 months. Why take so long to do another show?
Yeah, actually, the 3-month show, these are the mega shows we are planning to be doing.
Okay.
That includes the big artists from wherever, Africa or South Africa, Nigeria. But we shall still keep doing shows, our monthly shows.
So you're going to continue having the monthly comedy nights?
Like in January, I think we have a show It should be a free show.
It's a free show actually.
Like every year we do a free show. To just
normally in January, because everybody's broke in January.
Broke. We know that.
That's true.
So
That is
it's like giving back to the society through our talent. So in January we are planning to have a big show, but usually we shall still be having monthly shows, and we are also planning to start weekly shows, like comedy, music, blending it together.
Now tell me, did you guys, when you were younger, were you aspiring to be comedians, or was it something that just came up?
It wasn't something that just came up. I think we grew up from a very funny family.
Right.
Our dad is a very funny guy. Do you know?
Oh, you guys are actually brothers. See, I thought it was a joke.
Yeah, brothers.
I thought it was a joke. Okay.
No, as in our dad is a very funny guy.
Okay.
Do you know what he told me for my 18th birthday?
Yeah.
He's like, he came to the show and he's like, oh wow, you're 18 now. Congratulations. You can go to jail now. As in, imagine, I'm just 18 and that's what he can tell me. Like now. You can go to jail.
That was his response.
Yeah, he's a very funny guy. Though. Yeah,
so your family is very supportive.
He was actually at the show.
He was at the show on Saturday.
He came on Saturday. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Actually, well, you know what? You've kind of told us a joke, but why don't you tell us a joke, Stella?
A joke.
Yes, tell us a joke.
Okay. Wow, this is so. Okay, let me just try. You know, the English language usually has different kinds of words in it, and some of the words actually you may not find their other meanings in the dictionary. Yeah, like the word understanding.
Right.
You know, understanding. Of course, you know the meaning of understanding, but there's also another meaning of understanding. You know, when you're standing under something,
right?
You understand.
You're understanding that.
So do you understand?
I understand.
Yeah,
no, you're lying. Actually, you're under sitting. Right?
You're under sitting because you're not standing.
You know what? I think that one just went over my head, but that was a good one. That was a good one. Yeah. All right. Thanks so much, guys, and I can't wait to see the next. You said next month is the next.
Yeah,
comedy
next
show?
month is the next. Actually, we are going to Burundi.
Okay.
This weekend.
Okay.
Yeah, to perform there.
Yeah.
And it's gonna be great.
And actually, I didn't ask you this question. So, do you plan on doing a lot of events outside of Rwanda as well?
Yeah, we are. Actually, most of the feedback that we get from these outside comedians, what I was telling you is like, man, you guys
should come.
You guys should come. You guys are actually good. Why don't you, as in, step out of Rwanda and you're like, you know, we're planning this and this budget, you know, but we'll come with the 30 million.
Right. Right. Well, I wish you guys all the best, and I'm looking forward to your next event. Unfortunately, I can't come to Burundi, but I'll be at the next one in Kigali.
You're welcome.
All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
All right. Stay tuned, guys. Hot Topics is coming right up. Welcome back. It's that Hot Topics time again. As always, you can join in on the debates by joining through our Facebook or our Twitter account. And yeah, send us your messages. Let's get into our first hot topic, guys. This one is about boda bodas. You guys have heard of boda bodas, right? Taxi motos in Uganda. Exactly.
Oh, boda boda.
No, boda boda.
You mean motos?
Yeah, motor taxis in Uganda. Well, the good news for people in Uganda, because one of the leading causes of death, unfortunately, in Uganda is, sorry, I just thought about something, but it's motor accidents. Now, the good news is that there's this new this app called Safe Boda, which means basically you can go online, you can go on your phone and text message, and you get actually a safe boda, which means these people have been trained, they have safe quality helmets, and they take you to wherever you need to go. This is only in Kampala, but they're planning on having it all over the country. I thought it was a great story because, you know, boda bodas unfortunately are not the safest in Uganda. But hey, there's an app now, so you can actually get, you know, a safe boda boda.
I love the idea, but unfortunately, not everyone has a smartphone and that app, and
that is true.
So
meaning that safety is not for everyone.
Exactly. I feel like there's that, and then there's also the fact that generally it's just people well, at least the people I've met in Uganda, it's not about having an app or not, whether the border guy is the one who's being safe or not. It's about them. He wants to sit on that border with like 5 of his friends.
Right.
And, you know, the border guy just wants to make money. So he'll say, you know, that's up to you. If you feel that's safe for you, that's fine for me. Let's do this. So it's up to the people, really.
The question in my mind is, how long is it going to take for people to start forging these vests and, you know, making like the helmets and
saying,
just saying, I'm safe, you can come and ride my boda.
And you know, another thing that I've heard is that in Uganda people don't actually like wearing helmets because they're afraid of getting fleas. Is this true?
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's just crazy. Safety first for me. All right, on to the next hot topics. This one is kind of a funny one and very interesting. So Korean Airlines, the chairman's daughter was on a plane and they fed her macadamia nuts in a bag, and she threw a tantrum because they didn't serve them on a plate. And so because of this, she started yelling at the steward, made him kneel so that he can apologize to her, had the guy thrown off the plane, and then obviously it became a big scandal.
When they're in flight?
When they're on the plane, yes.
I'm kidding.
Yeah, and then so she had to make a public apology, as you see there, with her father, who's the chairman of South Korean Airlines.
Good.
And but the twist to the story is that because of this whole scandal, macadamia nuts sales have soared in South Korea. And in fact, Auction, which is the second biggest e-commerce, which is owned by eBay, said that macadamia nuts were 5% of nut sales, and now they're 50% just because of this story. So people are buying macadamia nuts because of this crazy story.
It's quite bizarre.
Is it? I mean, think about it.
I don't think after hearing this story, I'm like, oh, I need some macadamia nuts.
You know,
but imagine if a story is repeated on TV and maybe they show images of macadamia nuts.
And go down to
Maybe.
history, like they say, South Koreans are the most affected by pop culture in the world. You know, that's why their South Korean bands like sell a lot, because they see someone so popular and they want to get with the trend.
Okay, well, I mean, that's
Gangnam
interesting.
Style, you know.
Anyways, all
so
right.
more
Thanks,
macadamia nuts for everyone.
More macadamia nuts for everyone. All right. Well, don't forget that we love to hear your thoughts, your comments, and your feedback on what we're talking about here on Rise and Shine Rwanda. Tweet us at Rise and Shine RW. Like us on Facebook and send us your ideas for programs or any comments that you have. Check out our Rise and Shine Rwanda YouTube page where you can catch all the shows and the reports that we do. Find us on Instagram, Rise and Shine RW. We love to see your photos. Or simply check out our Rise and Shine Rwanda website.
Well, that's all the time we have for today. We'd love to hear your feedback, and do let us know if you have an idea for the program. You've been watching Rise and Shine Rwanda with me, Regis Isheja.
And me, Makeda Mahadio. We will be here same time, same place tomorrow, so please do join us then. But for now, from the both of us and the rest of the Rise and Shine team, have a great day.
Have a great day. Bye-bye.